In order to get their fix, they have had to make the working class into debt junkies. So even though we're all in debt up to our eyeballs, we get credit card and refinancing offers every day. And Wall Street figures out new ways to repackage and resell all the debt, taking a percentage of every transaction. And whenever the economy needs a new fix of new money, the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates to encourage more loans, thus creating more new debt money. Every kind of debt has grown and grown, personal debt, corporate debt. And the solution so far is to try and fix it all by increasing the national debt, by injecting that money into the system, which is really more debt. This time, debt that we create by increasing the deficit, expecting the next generation to somehow pay it all off. So, stupefied by greed, Wall Street repackaged all the bad loans and passed them around to generate more money out of thin air for themselves. But they went too far and did what every banker dreads. They called attention to the fact that since they lend money they don't have, when people want to know where their money is, the banks don't have it. It's called a bank run, like during the Great Depression when people went to the banks and found the money wasn't there. What we are seeing now is a run of the banks and major financial institutions on each other, and all of them realizing there is nothing to pay back the loans they have made, because all the money in the system is debt borrowed from somewhere else. And so you have now what they are calling frozen credit. No one wants to lend more because they know what you don't. There's nothing but a mountain, no, a planet of debt out there. You will ask, if the problem is right there out in the open, why do you see it when none of the experts do? Good question. The reason all the experts are wrong and nothing is working to fix the crisis is that this system has been around so long that they have mistaken the system of symbols meant to represent reality for reality itself. They are looking at the flatlining graph on the EKG of our economy and telling us we should all lay down and die, instead of seeing that the system is broken and the graph is wrong. So all the talking heads on TV, who always get everything wrong and somehow still keep their job, just don't get it. And the few people who do understand what is really going on all profit from it. And they are miserable money junkies who are doing everything they can to keep their scam of the century a secret. And they have billions and billions of dollars to do it with. So, how do we fix it? Many people nowadays do understand that the money in your wallet is just paper, that it only represents something of worth because we all agree that it does. Most of the few people that do question our monetary system will tell you that the problem is that our money is no longer backed up by gold. But gold is really similar to paper money in one way, or a check. You can't eat it, you can't build a house out of it, you can't listen to an MP3 on it. Gold also is only worth something because everyone agreed it would be a good symbol for what things are worth. And it seemed like a good choice because it was rare. You couldn't just go out and get a bunch of gold and be rich. So as a symbol for worth, it worked for a long time. But most people miss the real reason gold was a better system, and that is that it allowed the money supply to grow at a reasonable pace that matched reality. When gold was dug up, it increased the money supply that was based on gold. In reality, the economy is always expanding and growing. New things of worth and increased productivity come into existence every day. A sound monetary system must match reality or it will eventually fall apart, as it did in 1929 and as it is doing now. If new things of worth are coming in the economy every day, then new money to represent those things also needs to come into the system. Consider the simplest monetary system, barter, which is simply when people trade actual items of worth for each other. If I am a fisherman and you grow wheat, I give you some fish and you trade me some wheat. Simple. But when I pull a fish out of the river, I just created new money. It is not debt money. The river isn't expecting me to pay it back with interest. So I've already gone on way too long for the YouTube attention span. But to sum up, the money supply needs to increase as the economy grows. Everyone agrees on that. But underneath all the smoke and mirrors, our current system only creates new money as debt. So it's no surprise we are where we're at, up to our eyeballs in a global sea of debt. And everyone getting a really bad feeling because even if they can't wrap their conscious mind around it, they know deep down you can't pay off debt with more debt. None of the big financial institutions will lend money to keep businesses going, and the middle class is afraid to spend the money they have. Until the economy goes down in flames, even as mankind has reached new heights of productivity and creativity. The current solution is to have the government inject money by increasing the federal debt, which is really saying we're expecting the taxpayers of the future to pay it all off somehow. Of course, that is impossible too if they keep using the same system of piling debt upon debt. It makes you wonder why college kids, the people we're expecting to pay all this off in the future, aren't marching on Washington. I guess they're too busy texting each other about their Facebook pages. The solution is incredibly simple, but also very unlikely because the people running things all benefit from the current system, and the average person who is getting screwed stopped watching this 5 minutes ago to watch the hot video of the day. A cat falling out of a tree. So all we patriotic Americans need to do is wake up and realize that contrary to what Ronald Reagan brainwashed Americans to believe, government is not a bad thing, because it is your government. It was created by some brilliant men to be your protection against these big, bad, greedy bastards of the world. And it would work fine, too, if only we could all take an hour a week to use our brains to ask some questions and look for some real answers past the soundbite on the network news. Funny how Americans complain that they spend so much on education, but their kids have lousy grades, when the example they are setting is that they can't be bothered to seriously study what their own government is doing for a couple hours a week. If you don't do your homework, why should your kids? And when someone smart does come along, someone who always turns out to be right, like Dennis Kucinich, the example the parents should set for their kids is to point and laugh at him because Jay Leno says he's funny looking. Gee, why are our kids getting such lousy grades? So, the power to create real new money, not debt money, should be in the hands of the government, of us, just as the Founding Fathers intended. The government should create a rationally calculated amount of money needed to match the expansion of the economy. I know it sounds too good to be true, but we could have a stimulus package every year, and it would be real new money, not debt charged to the next generation, or owed to a bank, or China. We cannot continue to have a system that pumps as much money as the bankers see fit to maximize their own profits, and they don't care if they create inflation by doing it. At the same time, they exploit a crazy, corrupt, debt-generating system for their own profit that keeps the American middle class as indentured servants to them for life. Government is not the problem. The corruption of the government by bankers, oilmen, war profiteers, drug companies, and on is the problem. And we could stop it all without breaking a sweat with the incredible gifts of free speech and the vote. But first, we all have to wake up and see what is really going on. I could try to explain a lot more, but I realize it's already too long, so very likely an exercise in futility. And apologies if I come off like a know-it-all jackass, but please don't let that stop you from considering the facts, doing your own research, and speaking your mind.